Have you ever been in so much pain and your trust broken with such a cold heart that you're unable to process it? Imagine being in such a relationship that you feel like you're living a life in heaven, then it doesn't take too long before it comes crashing all down and you start to feel that you've lost all the energy to live. This story of mine has similar construct to it, where I was not only betrayed but was also stabbed in the back. It was 23rd June when I was going back home for summer vacation after a really long time and taking my days off from my job just to have some quality time with family and friends. It was 6 in the evening when my train arrived at the station and my elder brother came to pick me up. My whole family was excited to see me since it'd been months since I have come back to the town, so they were very excited to have me with them. After the meet and greet, we went to a nearby restaurant to have dinner and have our favorite ice cream. Afterwards, it was really good to finally catch up with everyone and hear their stories, how their life has been progressing so far. It's funny how time flies, and we never realize that there's so much we can do and so much we can experience when we have our close ones near us. After we had our dinner, we headed back home and we had family tea time by sharing old snaps and having a good old time talk. After an hour, my cousin and I planned to go out for a long walk and see the town. So we headed out on a long route towards the park while passing by the nearby tower by the lake where ducks were swimming. He was sharing all about his life, how his job was going, and how he has been progressing with the university, upgrading his skills, and planning to move to a bigger city for better opportunities in life. While suddenly he stopped and said, "This weekend, we college friends are all going on an adventure to have a camping trip. Why don't you join us and let's catch up with old class fellows, as well as your crush will be also there." This also made me stop and ask him, who is he talking about? He said, "Jenny." This definitely increased my interest and piqued my curiosity, so I definitely agreed to join them on this camping trip. So the plan was settled on for the weekend, and we decided to pack our bags the night before and to get ready early in the morning so that we were there on the camping site before the sun rose. Finally, the day came and we started packing our bags and prepping our camps. We also bought marshmallows for the late night campfire and all the necessary stuff that would have been required, like compass, torch, canned food, etc. The next day, early Saturday morning, we woke up by 5 a.m. and loaded our stuff and started to head towards Yellowstone. After like 4 kilometers, Jenny and her friend also joined us. It took us almost 1.5 hours to reach there. We went to a nearby lake for a quick swim where the ladies were trying to catch fish in the boats. It was so good to be back home after such a long time. It was refreshing and even better to have my friends with me on this trip. I was so happy to finally catch up on old stories and revisit the memories and discuss the future while enjoying the present. It has been almost 2 years since I have seen Jenny. She hadn't aged a bit and was also excited to see me. After we had our lunch, I asked how she had been and what she had been up to. She told me that life had been quite busy for her after graduation. She started as a vet doctor in town. While we were having a good laugh and catching up on old memories, she also confessed that she had a crush on me in college. Since the feeling was mutual, I told her that it was also the same for me as well. Then she asked about me and I told her that after graduating, I moved to the capital city and started working as a financial analyst for a really big audit firm, and things have been going really great for me. I've recently bought a home and really nice car and was planning to buy another piece of property as my next investment. I clearly can see the spark in her eyes as they light up. She was also happy to hear my progress. We really had a good time. We talked a lot, took walks, and had a really good barbecue. Now in the evening we all headed back home. We exchanged our numbers and promised to keep in touch. After a few days, I came back to the city and got busy with my job on upcoming projects. A couple of weeks later, I got a call from Jenny as she was heading towards the city for a job interview and wanted to catch up. If I had time, I immediately agreed and planned to meet for lunch. Next day, I reserved the best place in town for us to have lunch. She told me her interview went well and was moving here soon. This made me really happy, and I was excited to see her after a couple of days. As she moved in the city, we started seeing each other almost on daily basis, sometimes having dinner, other times having a cup of tea, maybe going for a walk or a movie, or sometimes even hosting our other friends together. So I really had a good feeling about her. After a month, I proposed to her hand in marriage. She immediately agreed. I planned everything, and we moved in together after having a really cozy morning in our hometown. Things were so great that I couldn't have been any more happier, as we were having a really good time together. Soon we got busy building our careers. We rarely had any time in the days, so we were very conscious about taking our time and having at least one lunch every other day so that we can catch up on each other and share interesting stuff. She had such a charming personality that there was no doubt that anybody could fall for her, but I trusted her as we were both very much in love with each other and obviously married. Yet there was something that was eating me inside, and I could not simply paint what was the reason. But every day when we used to meet during the lunch, she was still on her phone, giggling from time to time. This bothered me, started to build up, because while I was really busy, yet I took special time out just to see her and have lunch with her, while she had to walk just a couple of blocks down the road, yet she was busy all the time with her phone. Though I complained a couple of times, it was not taken seriously, and she brushed it off, saying that I was being insecure for no reason and I have to worry about nothing. So I did not push it any further. One day a really strange thing happened. As we were having our lunch, she instantly had to go to the restroom while her phone was unlocked in front of me, and her phone started to ring once again. So I took it in my hand and started to read what's going on. I was so surprised to see that her senior veterinary doctor was texting her something really inappropriate, and in the same manner, she was equally responding to him with an agreeable tone. It took me by surprise, and I couldn't make any sense of what I was just seeing and who this actual person was or how long she had been talking to him. I had so many questions that I had no idea what to do and what to ask. My mind was shaking really hard, and it was getting heavier. It was not making any sense, as we never had any argument or a fight, and we lived a really comfortable life while we both were having stable jobs. My mind was asking again and again that how could someone do such things to her husband without any reason. I was still going through her phone, and as she returned and saw her cell phone in my hand, she just froze with horror in her eyes. Instead of asking her cell phone back, she started to stutter and to explain it to me. I think that she did what she had done, and now that I knew everything, it will be over soon. Instead of making any scene, I quietly gave her phone back and asked her to pack her stuff and leave my place. When I returned home, I don't want to see her at all. She tried to speak, but I just brushed it off and said, "Please, there's no need to have any more conversation." It had been clear to her from the start, yet I was the one who was in the dark since long. But now that we both were clear and what was happening and what she was planning to do, it's better not to make any melodrama. In the evening, when I returned home from the office, my hand was still hurting from the pain that I had been throughout the day and how this person made me feel in such a way. I had been nothing but a perfect husband to her. As I entered my home, to my surprise, she was still there, in fact, waiting for me inside. Instead of being angry, I kept quiet. She tried explaining, but it was nothing, that she was just having a conversation, but it was pretty clear what really was going on between her senior and her. After that, she started a drama and created a scene by blaming me that I was not adventuring enough and not really good at being exciting enough. So she was basically bored and was looking for excitement and was having a chat with her senior as he had an adventurous and exciting personality. So I told her I'll be sending divorce papers and if she wants to marry him, she can. To which she replied, of course, that won't be any problem. To me, this was such a punch in the guts, as I was still processing this all while it was not a big deal for her, and she was almost happy to leave. The coldness and carelessness in her eyes was even more hurtful, because I had planned to have a family and future with her while she was on a hunt for adventure, which everyone knows will not last long. In the next few days, we completed our papers of divorce and went on separate ways. Since being in the same city, it was painful for me to see her, so I sold my home and moved to another location, which was near my office. I dedicated my whole time working out and investing in myself with knowledge and skills. It didn't take me long to gain ranks, as I was closing more deals and doing better. After just 1 year, I was in a senior position and was having a good time. In the start, it was very hard for me to move on, yet it was so painful that I had not imagined, but eventually it was worth it after just 1 year. Now as I look back, I see how much better I have become. One day we had our annual dinner, which was hosted by me, and all the senior executives were invited. We were having a really good time catching up and discussing future plans for our company. I suddenly saw a waitress that seemed to be a bit familiar to me. To my surprise, it was Jenny. She also saw and had embarrassment in her eyes and still requested me to have a conversation with her since it had been a long time. I was not feeling anything or having any sentiments towards her. When the meeting was over and everybody was going home, Jenny and I sat to have a cup of tea. I was also curious why she has been a waitress. Since she was a qualified veterinarian, she also started her story that the doctor was having 2 or 3 affairs at the same time, and she was no exception, just one of many hunts. But she was full enough to run after an adventure, leaving all the security and all the facilities, and the loving husband who was not only nice to her, but also took care of everything, and she regretted it every single day. But when she asked her senior to marry her, he refused and said he was already married and had 2 children, which he had concealed and never told anybody, and went on saying that he will be reporting her to senior authority if she insists. He also made serious allegations and took her license away, so she had to leave her job, and now she was nothing but a waitress. Discovering that your partner is cheating on you is miserable, and that is painful for both people in the long run. This made me feel very sad for her, but nothing could be done now. I said I was nothing but super sincere to her, and she knew that I just advised her to better work on herself and do her exams again to get her license back and get back on her feet. I only can wish her well, nothing more. After saying this, I stood up and just left. The last thing that I saw in her eyes was that she was genuinely sorry for her state. What would you think about the story? Let us know in the comments below.